Welcome to A Line Through Time, where I take the time to look through your favourite franchises and work out how it all lines up. Sometimes a series will produce a non-canonical little side project, usually as a fun diversion that's different without messing up the central canon. What's the relevance of all this, you hypothetically ask? Just an observation. Typically, these spin-offs will branch off from an existing point in the canonical timeline unless it features a radically different setting. And I'm not discussing games that were retroactively designated as non-canon, only those that were made as non-canon. For example, Yakuza Dead Souls. It's a zombie shooter set in the Yakuza universe. Given that Yakuza is very grounded aside from optional content and heat moves, actual zombies are totally out of place. Thus, the game isn't canonical and goes completely unmentioned in Yakuza 5. But despite that, Dead Souls still mostly adheres to the Yakuza canon to make up its backstory. Aside from the altered fate of Yakuza 2's main antagonist, everything we see in Yakuza 1 through 4 still takes place in this alternate universe. The series' other two non-canon spin-offs are tonally more consistent with the main series, but shift the setting to feudal times so they don't really fall into the same category as these other games. Likewise, Hyrule Warriors, while officially outside of the core Zelda canon, does have the characters visit the timeframes of various previous games, meaning those events still happened in this universe to varying degrees. Wind Waker's a bit off in this universe. And Dead Rising 2, off the record, an alternate version of Dead Rising 2 that swaps out DR2 protagonist Chuck Green for DR1 protagonist Frank West, naturally maintains that the first game still happened exactly as in the main universe. Some details are off, like Frank having never met Rebecca and the fact that Chuck's daughter is dead by this point, which isn't the case in the main universe. Resident Evil Orc Must Die deviates from canon after RE1 at the start of RE2 and 3. It takes full advantage of its non-canon status by having the new characters interact with just about every major figure from RE2 and 3, who then go on to continue along their canonical paths anyway, allowing the player to truly feel the power they have to change the outcome by picking a side in a hastily thrown together climax that marks the only time the story can deviate in any meaningful way. Capcom really nailing it there with player choice in Resi games. Metal Gear has a bunch of spin-offs like this, such as Ghost Babel. This game branches off after the first game, ignoring everything from MG2 and MGS1. In Metal Gear Acid, by the same director and partially by the same writer, Roger mentions Colonel Campbell as well as Snake's prior use of a Nikita missile from Metal Gear 2, Solid 1 and even Ghost Babel. Wait. Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare expansion maintains that the main game story, at least up to the point where John Marston is reunited with his family, still happened here, but then zombies showed up. Lots of zombie stuff on this list, I realise. Weird. This also applies to most crossovers. Mortal Kombat vs DC Universe on the MK side picks up right after Shao Kahn's invasion in MK3, or an altered version that crowbars in Quan Chi, but that phrase basically describes all of MK now, so fuck it. Basically everything from the first three games is still part of the MK vs DCU storyline, or at least whatever version of those events was canon at the time, because who wants consistent continuity, am I right? There are obvious benefits to doing this of course, such as using characters that are canonically dead, which is particularly useful for fighting games where they can make all-star titles such as Tekken Tag Tournament or a bunch of the King of Fighters games. It also allows for weird ideas that don't fit in the core canon, such as zombies, mostly zombies actually. The point I'm trying to make here is that while Hyrule Warriors isn't canon to Legend of Zelda is canon to Hyrule Warriors. While MK vs DCU isn't canon to MK1-3, MK1-3 are canon to MK vs DCU. I know there wasn't much to discuss here, but this subject will be relevant for a few future episodes I'm planning. Hint hint. Oh, and one last example, Metal Gear Survive is obviously not canonical with its completely out of place zombies. Oh wait.
Hey, it's up to us to take out Umbrella.